The parallels between Sanji and Scopper were surprisingly not a fan narrative like we usually see in One Piece, but a Luffy narrative, so let's explore it through Sanji. But first, let's talk about how Scopper Gaban had one of the greatest buildups and introductions I've ever seen in One Piece. From his debut in chapter 19, I think around the time of the Buggy arc, to being highlighted in the special Shiki chapter 0, to his Silhouette Chronicles starting on a cover story with his crewmate Crocus, to him having us debate whether it was him or Shiki. All in all, he's here, and he is way more controversial than Zoro's parallel Rayleigh, who was more well received by the audience, but it has to do with Luffy about to scrap with him, and will he use Gear 5? Or like, will he be pushed to that level by Scopper Gaban? Because a lot of people don't want Scopper Gaban to be that strong, all probably to slander Sanji in my opinion. So let's highlight Sanji as the left-hand moments have been throughout the series and how it connects to Scopper Gaban in the story. Now, one of the first times I felt like Sanji was in his true left-hand phase was probably the time when Usopp was fighting, of course, a fishman. Zoro was fighting his fishman Hachi. And of course, Luffy was fighting Arlong, but then Luffy got stuck underwater. When Luffy got stuck underwater, Zoro said he's going to take on Arlong while Sanji was supposed to save Luffy. Zoro, being the right hand, went to go take on Luffy's opponent and say buy him some time for a little bit. Sanji, being the left hand, went to go free his captain so he can do the job he's supposed to do. And I honestly felt like this was the first time that Sanji to me was kind of like in his left hand mode in a sense. Now his left hand got a little bit better when it comes to like the Alabasta arc. Well, it's kind of started in a little garden because he's missing a little garden, and then out of nowhere we see that he's the one who calls Crocodile Mr. Prince. And then Alabasta, he saves Luffy, Zoro, Nami, I believe Usopp was there too as well, Smoker, by of course doing his Mr. Prince shenanigans with the help of Chopper. So Mr. Prince was a big deal, and it kind of was really showing how Sanji, when Luffy and Zoro are in a pickle, Sanji can come clutch as the left hand should. He's standing shoulder to shoulder with Luffy and Zoro. He should be able to do these things. Doesn't mean he's equal to Luffy and Zoro. Just means he is capable, just like Luffy and Zoro. Well, this continues in the Skypiea arc because Skypiea, Sanji, and Luffy are together. And Sanji and Luffy, they run into the first priest, one of the strongest NL commanders. And throughout the battle, we see that they're dealing with, of course, the sky battle techniques when it comes to dials, while also dealing with Satori's mantra, Observation Haki, when Luffy and Sanji don't have Observation Haki. But the thing is, Luffy jumps on Satori, keeps him in place so he can't use mantra, and Sanji finishes the job with a crazy head kick. And it was crazy because Luffy was kind of like fighting Satori majority of the time, but the person who dealt the finishing blow was Sanji. It's kind of like Oda's always been showing that Sanji's the left hand to Luffy, always there shoulder to shoulder with Luffy helping him out. Even in the same arc, we see an epic moment of Sanji when Zoro is taken out by Enel and Luffy is got taken all the way off the ship. Sanji is out of nowhere climbing the ship with Usopp, and it's like every single time Luffy or Zoro are out of commission, Sanji is there to help out and help out the pretty much the load of the main objective. And he gets destroyed by Enel's lightning, but he definitely smokes a nice cigarette in a badass panel. So I thought it was cool. I like these left-hand moments by Sanji. It's not like the big left-hand moments, but it's still left-hand moments in my opinion. Another example is when Luffy and Zoro are pretty much going up against CP9, the huge reveal during Water 7. And of course, Luffy and Zoro get sent flying. Luffy gets stuck in between a building. Zoro gets stuck into a chimney. So who else is to go on the sea train and go save Robin? None other than Sanji. Yes, Sanji's the one to do it. And honestly, Sanji really is showing his like, it's kind of like Mr. Prince Chronicles, but also showing his left hand, like his left hand capabilities of like just when Zoro and Luffy are not there, Sanji is an MVP clutch factor. Me personally, I love the moment when Sanji gives Usopp motivation, or should I say Soga King motivation, and pretty much tells him to do what he's able to do, and I will do what I'm able to do. It's pretty much telling Usopp, motivating him to just do anything he's capable to help out Luffy. And that's really a motivation from a character who's not the captain. So that's what left hand and right hands are. They're like captains when the captain is not there. In a sense, it's like they're like the second. They're the top commanders for a reason, but the left hand and right hand really are. If the captain went down, they can take over the crew. Like, just look at Big Mom Pirates. If Big Mom went down, Katakuri can easily become the captain. He's awakened, conquers Haki, future sight. Like, he can easily become the captain of the crew and still be one of these strongest pirate crews. Same thing happened with Marco. Marco was definitely leading the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates, and they went up against Blackbeard. Yeah, they lost, but still, Marco can lead like the crew. You saw Marco and Wano what he was doing. So, yeah, Sanji is just one of those characters that if Luffy and Zoro went down, he can lead the crew. And just this motivation speech was all I need to see. It's kind of like if you look at basketball terms. Yeah, I love to do basketball terms for some reason. It's like back in the days, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was a very valuable to those Heat rosters. Like, he had that MVP rebound that got to Ray Allen. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris Bosh had some crazy game winners. And he was a really good power forward for the Miami Heat. That's Sanji. Yes, Dwayne Wade is Zoro. Yes, LeBron is, of course, whatchamacallit, Luffy. But I'm telling you guys right now, Sanji is shoulder to shoulder. They're the big three for a reason. Now, I think another moment that kind of proves Sanji is the left hand as well is at the end of Thriller Bark. A lot of people just like to look at it as Zoro's absolutely nothing, which is one of my favorite moments in the series. I think it's one of the greatest moments in the series, not just by Zoro, but in general. But I feel like a lot of people can't ignore it, that at the end of the day, Sanji wanted to sacrifice himself for not just Luffy. Sanji wanted to sacrifice himself for Zoro as well. And this is where Zoro got pissed off because he's thinking, yo, you're more valuable than me. You're the chef. You feed our entire crew. And you're at the same level as me in strength. So that's why Zoro knocked out Sanji, because he knows that Sanji is extremely valuable when it comes to Luffy becoming Pirate King. And Zoro's valuable too as well, because Zoro's the vice captain and incredibly powerful. Like, Zoro is insanely powerful and everything. But Zoro's looking at the logistics of things, not really looking at the power scaling. He's looking at more so that how valuable Sanji is in a sense. But Sanji wanted to sacrifice himself and said he's going to be a big name in the future. This is obviously foreshadowing to him reaching Skypiea Gaban levels when it comes to the end game. And I think that this is a really good thing that needs to be looked at. Yes, Zoro is the one who sacrificed himself and took Luffy's pain, but Sanji would have done it too. That's the thing. I don't know if Sanji would have survived. That people have questioned that. Will Sanji survive like Zoro? I'm not too sure. I don't really care about that. It's more so the action. Not really the action. I mean how do I say this? It's the intention. The fact that Sanji was willing to do it just like Zoro, that means a lot to me personally. Now, after the time skip, Sanji is incredibly powerful with his, of course, two types of Haki, and observation Haki and armor Haki. His insane leg speed, swimming speed, crazy attacks that he amped up, skywalk. Sanji is incredibly powerful when he comes out to the time skip. And he goes up against Virgo. Virgo's a guy who knows Rokushiki, whose armor Haki is really well renowned, that he has full bar armor Haki that Doflamingo respected. It took a lot to defeat Virgo, don't forget that as well. And Virgo is incredibly powerful. He kind of was doing a number on Smoker, though some people might say that Smoker objective was not really to beat Virgo, was more so to get Law's heart back, but still he did really well against Smoker. Smoker's incredibly powerful. So Sanji went up against Virgo and his leg cracked. Now people say Sanji got into an explosion earlier when Nami was in his body, so he was a little bit nerfed going into that Virgo battle. That's why his leg cracked. But at the end of the day, I think Oda tried to show us that yes, Sanji is capable of fighting Virgo, because he actually was doing really well against Virgo. It's just that leg crack was an issue, but still, Sanji going up against Virgo. What other Straw Hat Pirate is going to go against Virgo? It's going to be Luffy or Zoro. So this is why I say Sanji stands shoulder to shoulder with Luffy and Zoro, just like how Skypiea Gaban stood shoulder to shoulder with Roger and Rayleigh. Then in Dressrosa, we have the main villain Doflamingo, and who does Oda put up against Doflamingo in the beginning of the arc? He puts Sanji up against Doflamingo, and Doflamingo actually gives Sanji respect for his power, saying, yo, you're pretty strong, like, you're pretty powerful. This is not Zoro or Luffy, this is Sanji that Doflamingo is saying this about, pretty much confirming that Luffy has some monsters in his top hitters in his crew, and that's what you need to be a really legit crew. You need not just you as a captain, you need your underlings to be strong as well. When I mean underlings, I mean like your crewmates. They have to be incredibly powerful. But Doflamingo giving this respect was cool. Yeah, Doflamingo did do Sanji in, but Doflamingo did a lot of people in. Like, we seen a lot. Luffy had to go gear forward. Like, Doflamingo was washing a lot of people on Dressrosa. Let's not just make it just Sanji. Like, he was incredibly powerful. And then Oda transitions this to Sanji, of course, leading the Straw Hat Pirates that are separated with their name called the Curly Brow Pirates. And Sanji helps out big time when it comes to avoiding the Big Mom pirate ship. It doesn't seem like there was any top commander on there. It looks like it was just Peckham's and Tamago, which are like mid-tier commanders. But still, Sanji was able to avoid the Yonko ship, regardless if Big Mom was on it or not. And that was a big deal. And he led the crew and Zo too as well. So Oda is not just trusting anybody with that. He's trusting someone capable. I think honestly, right now to this current story, Oda's only trusting Luffy with the crew, Zoro with the crew, Sanji with the crew, and recently in Elbaf, like we saw Luffy, Zoro, Sanji for the first time separated all with the crew. Guess who we put with the crew? Jinbei. Jinbei's incredibly powerful as well. We saw that in Wano. So yes, Jinbei's that new acquisition to the pirate crew. Because Jinbei's captain level when it comes to him being leader of the Sun Pirates. So, and a former warlord. Like, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, Jinbei's not shoulder to shoulder, in my opinion, with Luffy and Zoro like Sanji is, but he's still powerful. So he can still lead. Especially when he's leading Robin and Frankie. Like, these are like the mid-tier straw pirates that are incredibly powerful in their own rights as well. Brook, too. Like, I can go on. Then there's Sanji's Whole Cake Island arc, which is one of the most controversial arc. Of course, Luffy starved himself for this dude and didn't fight back when Sanji's kicking his ass. And pretty much said, I can't be pirating without you. And pretty much said that Sanji's hurting more than me when it comes to the pain. And all the haters were like, yo, F Sanji, yo, Zoro would never do this. Yo, Zoro whoop his ass if he saw him doing this. But honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it real. Luffy said F all those Sanji haters. He said it to Zoro when Zoro told Luffy not to go for Sanji. He said it to Nami when Nami said to leave Sanji alone. Like, they got shot down by Luffy. And Luffy's the actual captain. If your actual captain is respecting Sanji, this is why he is the true left hand to Luffy. Because Luffy could easily say, yeah, F this guy, he's a traitor, everything. Honestly, but he didn't. And I gotta give respect to respect is due. I think Luffy would do that for Zoro as well because he's right hand. He needs to do it. But it's not like Luffy's doing that for every crew member. I think Luffy is helping every crew member and giving the benefit of the doubt. Like, we've seen this in Luffy's trade. But Sanji was a little bit different because he knows how valuable Sanji is. And he said it right there. I can't be pirating without you. That's a big statement. Now in Wano, Sanji does have some pretty cool moves, if I'm being completely honest, when it comes to his power scaling. Yeah, he's not on the rooftop, but before the rooftop, he had his German suit on, and he was going up against King, Kaido's strongest pirate. Some people will argue who's stronger, Yamato and King. I think Yamato's a little bit stronger than King. But still, at the end of the day, yeah, King is still the strongest in the Beast Pirate. Yamato's not really on the crew like necessarily like that. Yamato's just family with Kaido. And Sanji's fighting in the German suit with King is a big deal. Yeah, he's not on the rooftop going against Big Mom and Kaido, the strongest characters on Wano, like Zoro and Luffy were. But when Zoro and Luffy are on the rooftop dealing with Yonko captains, someone has to deal with these monsters that are under the Yonko captains. And the strongest monster under the Yonko captains was King on their side, because Yamato wasn't really on their side, and Queen. And Sanji was dealing with King. And then later on, at one point in the arc, he was dealing with King and Queen at the same time without the German suit. So Sanji was really MVPing it up here. And this is where we get that statement from Robin where she's like that Sanji is one of the wings of the future Pirate King. Robin saying this was a really big deal because Robin is the smartest Straw Hat pirate when it comes to intellect. So for her to say this after Sanji's pathetic showing against Black Maria and Robin had to save him, her saying that really was a big deal in my opinion when it comes to the optics of Sanji. Like, you had to keep it real on that level. And then of course we see later that moment of Marco saying that Sanji and Zoro are the stars that are going to take the stage, and they go up against King and Queen, Kaido's strongest calamities. And this kind of was a good definition of these guys being the left hand and right hand of Luffy, because King and Queen are Kaido's strongest crew members, and it's not even close. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, when you actually power scale Kaido's crew, you have Kaido at the top, then you have King and Queen in their own little separate bubble, then you have Jack and Who's Who, and like, yeah, Jack is stronger than Who's Who, but it's not as far as we think. Like, there's a reason why Kaido even said, yo, the winner of whoever finds Yamato can challenge one of the Beast Pirate calamities for that spot. Now, of course, we were thinking, yo, they're gonna challenge Who's Queen? Probably not. They're probably gonna challenge the weakest one in Jack and try to take him out. Now, Jack is still incredibly strong and durable, but still, Queen and King, it's not just durability with them. It's their actual capability. Like, Queen and King, in my opinion, they're beating Ashura Doji, where Jack is struggling against Ashura Doji, like we saw in the beginning of Wano. It's a clear-cut difference, and Zoro and Sanji going up against these calamities was legit a big deal. And then Sanji, for the first time ever in the story, Oda, even like we all expected this during Whole Cake Island, but Oda reserved not to do it. He didn't give Sanji a legitimate 1v1 fight in Whole Cake Island. Yeah, he had moments against Oven and moments against Daifuku and like moments against, of course, Big Mom. Like, no, those are just moments. He gives Sanji the 1v1 fight that he deserved. A man worth over 1 billion berry bounties, like well over 1 billion berry bounties in Queen. And when he fights Queen, he's not using the Germa suit as well. He's using his Germa capabilities when it comes to his muscles, his muscle skeletons that are elevated through, of course, his Germa genetics. And he adds that with armor haki. Seeing Sanji talk about armor haki, like we've seen Sanji's observation haki insane, like with Katakuri, Jellybean, and then of course when he's looking for Kinemon's body and Punk Hazard, we already know that Sanji's observation haki is insane. Oda even confirmed this, that his specialty is observation haki. When Sanji is talking about armor haki, when it comes to pertaining to whooping someone's ass, he talks about armor haki, combining that with the exoskeleton muscle of Germa, and making those extra hot flames that are even to the point that they're blue flames, the hottest flames we've seen in the entire series. Sends Queen flying, and then relatively mid-dip fight, and Sanji goes missing, yo. His speed is so insane, he goes invisible. He doesn't even need the Germa suit because that's how fast Sanji is. Speed is power, like Kizaru said. So yes, Oda pretty much said, yeah, I'm finally gonna do it. I'm gonna give Sanji the respect he deserves. And it continued on in the Egghead Island arc when it comes to blocking Kizaru's light laser beam, which even Kizaru was confused because it was so illogical. He's like, how the hell did you do that? And Sanji's like, with love. And that's the thing with Sanji, he kind of is like, he doesn't really use logic when it comes to his mentality. He's more emotions based. Yes, Sanji can use logic, but he prefers to use his more emotional standpoint when it comes to not hitting women and whatnot. So when he did that against Kizaru, it kind of was like how Sanji is as a character. Yes, Kizaru, who's more logical than Sanji, is thinking, what the hell just happened? That doesn't make sense. How did you just obliterate my light beam? And Sanji's like, yeah, love. And Sanji doing this to an admiral is pretty much Oda saying, yes, after Wano, Sanji's able to do these to an admiral. Just how we saw during Marineford War, Marco doing this to admirals, and Jozu doing this to admirals. We're like doing something to admirals. Sanji's now doing that. He's a Yonko commander level character right now, and soon he's gonna be a Pirate King commander character, which some people I'm not too sure, they don't know what that means, being a Pirate King commander character. Well, if you don't know what that means, Elbaf's the perfect arc for this, because just look at Gaban's lore, defeating hundreds of pirates when he was trying to get Roger to a hospital and being known as the Mountain Eater for cutting down all those trees. Gaban, in my opinion, was going up against Kozuki Oden, a guy who I truly believe was Yonko level in his prime. Yes, and could have beat Kaido if he wasn't distracted. So I'm saying it right now, Gaban rivaling Rayleigh in power. I think Rayleigh was Yonko level in his prime, so probably Gaban was Yonko level. Yeah, maybe most likely Admiral level, but he probably could be Yonko level. It wouldn't be shocking. And if this is Sanji's peak, if Sanji's able to reach Yonko level, I think Sanji at Admiral level would just make me happy. But he's able to reach Yonko level, just like I think Zoro's gonna reach Yonko level in his prime. It's gonna be insane what Oda's gonna do with the Pirate King crew, as we're seeing that Oda likes to differentiate the Pirate King crew to other crews. Like, they were going against the Rocks pirates. The Pirate King crew was going up against the Rock pirates. Gaban was fighting either Shiki or Big Mom in those duels with the Rock pirates, as Rayleigh was probably fighting Whitebeard and Roger's probably fighting Rocks. So yeah, the Roger pirates are insane, and like, people have to understand that. We haven't even seen the other Roger pirates that are probably in, like, the mid-tier Roger pirates are probably Yonko commander level, for goodness sakes. The Pirate King crew is no joke, and it's gonna really show how Straw Hat pirates are gonna go to like insane power as well. There's a reason why Oda had the level 6 prisoners join Blackbeard pirates, because Oda wants Blackbeard pirates and Straw Hat pirates to be incredibly powerful, just how the Reddit pirates are incredibly powerful. But yeah, Gaban is kind of gonna highlight Sanji into being that perfect position of left hand. And I thought I'd make a video reminding, yeah, he's already been foreshadowing Sanji be left hand throughout the story. You guys just been ignoring it because of agenda and narratives and like, oh, Zoro. Just forget about Luffy and Zoro right now. At the end of the day, Luffy and Zoro, we already know what they're capable of doing after Wano. Like, they have Kankazaki coding. Sanji is where people have question marks, and I'm trying to make this video to say those question marks need to be put to bed after, especially after Gaban, what he does in Elbaf. And will Luffy use Gear 5 against Gaban? I might make a video on that when it comes to using Gear 5 in general, but right now I'll answer it. Probably gonna use Gear 5 because why in disrespect Gaban as soon as he gets introduced, and he has to comment on it as well, knowing about Joy Boy's tail. He went to Laptop for goodness sake, so he has to comment on Luffy's form and everything, Nika and everything, and compare Luffy to Roger too. And Luffy can go like not trying if he's gonna be compared to Roger. So yeah, debate in the comment section, but that's my take on the left hand Sanji stuff and everything in general.